كوكبا والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين قال يا بني لا تقصص رؤياك على إخوتك فيكيدوا لك كيدا إن الشيطان للإنسان عدو مبين وكذلك يجتبيك ربك ويعلمك من تأويل الأحاديث ويتم نعمته عليك وعلى آل يعقوب كما أتمها على أبويك من قبل إبراهيم وإسحاق إن ربك عليم
حكيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب زدني علما. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today we will start with the latter part of Surah Juz number 12, which is from Surah Yusuf onwards. So yesterday we spoke about Surah Yusuf being a Meccan surah, which was revealed at the time of the Holy Messenger's span in Makkah, when the people had asked him about the narrations of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. And so we did from ayat number 1 to 3. Today we will read from ayat number 4 to 6, speaks about the childhood of and his conversation with Nabi Yaqub. And then from ayat number 8 to 18 speaks about the jealousy that the brothers of Nabi Yusuf held within themselves for Nabi Yusuf. And then from ayat number 19 to 22, and then onwards to 23 to 29, speaks about his journey then from the well onwards to Zalika's palace and so on. And so today what I'm going to try to do, I have made notes. We're doing this course. It's still online, ongoing. It's a detailed course on the Tafsir of Surah Yusuf alayhi salam by Dr. Farooq. It's available on his website. You can go ahead and buy it and then hear it. It's very detailed with Batini interpretations as well. So what I'm trying to do is giving you a little bit of summary of the ayats ongoing, and then we'll from ayat number 23, 24, we'll start reading. We'll catch this pace, inshallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, Iskala Yusuf alayhi ya abati inni ra'aytu ahada ashara kawkaban wa shamsa wal qamara ra'aytuhu li sajidin. Ayat number 4 of these stories mentioned when Nabi Yusuf said to his father, "Oh my father, ya abati, that I saw this dream." So he saw this dream. What is the reality of dreams? Just quickly want to share my notes with you. When you physically sleep, you detach from the worldly life. Either you're a Muslim or non-Muslim, because we'll see ahead that the king of the king at the time where Nabi Yusuf was in prison, that king, he also saw a dream. So anybody who sleeps, it's called a minor death, for instance, and you sleep and then you detach from the worldly realm. When you detach from the worldly realm, we all know, we all dream at some point in our life. We witness certain situations, circumstances, which sometimes we say, oh my God, I had already seen it in my dream and it came true. So what is this phenomena? When you detach from the physical realm, the soul loses its affinity to some degree to the physical realm, this realm that we are witnessing right now, and transcends to the immaterial realm of existence, means the semi-immaterial realm, the alam al-barzakh, and the immaterial realm. What are these realms? These realms are nothing but manifesting Allah's knowledge. So sometimes you must have heard of the word deja vu, where we feel like, oh my God, we've seen this somewhere. I feel like I've been here and I've seen this. Because in Allah's knowledge, Everything exists, pre-eternity, post-eternity. Allah's knowledge never changes. It's always is, always will be. And so with our actions, his knowledge doesn't change. But it doesn't mean that if he knows in his knowledge that I will do this and that now I am subjugated because of his knowledge. No, the knowledge is out of his knowledge of the system of cause and effect. He knows what everybody will do out of his free will, and hence he has knowledge of the future and the past and pre-eternity, post-eternity. Now, when you detach from this physical realm, you witness Allah's knowledge, and whatever your soul hunts down from Allah's knowledge, it then translates it or translates it and converts it into images. I'm not saying this. This is part of the tafsir that we've been going through, i.e. Allama Tabatabai and many more. It's part of the course. You can hear about dreams. And so when the soul sees Allah's knowledge, the moment you detach, Mukhalasin, the prophets and the Aimma, the infallibles, they are witnessing Allah's knowledge whilst awake because they're detached, they have no ego, they've been purified by Allah. And so they witness this knowledge of Allah whilst awake. And sometimes you and I can also, when we go through difficult situations in our life and we completely detach, we will read about it today as well, you are able to witness. Physically, your heart witnesses certain truths which reveal upon your heart. And so sometimes we cannot base it on that because again, we are weak, we are imperfect, and we have an ego. But the prophets were able to witness Allah's knowledge whilst they were even awake in forms of visions and apparitions. But we witness Allah's knowledge when we detach from the physical realm in our sleeps and we dream. And when we're dreaming, we witness Allah's knowledge. Now, witnessing Allah's knowledge is immaterial. It's not like a book with letters and words. So it's immaterial, but the soul translates it or converts it into images. The purer the soul, the purer and the clearer the images will be for you to see Allah's knowledge, which is being revealed to you, which you are able to hunt down in your dreams, depending on your spiritual status. The impure the soul, i.e., what does that mean? That the more the soul is drowned in the daytime, that you are more drowned in worldly life, worldly things. Yani, we're less Allah, mindfully less of Allah and more of, our mundane routines and this and that. The more the soul gets difficult for the soul to then translate these knowledge that we hunt down in our dreams, and then it gets difficult for the soul to interpret this knowledge. Now, for Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, when he saw this dream of from Allah's knowledge that this will happen, and it did happen. With the end of the chapter, we will see it, that the sun and the moon and the stars are subservient to him, are in obedience to him. Sajideen comes from a word, are humble, subservient, obedient to him. And so it came true because the prophets have control over nature by Allah's will. So it's not something which is, this dream is like, it's like a interpretation, the sun and the moon will, which i.e. yes, the batini meaning, the star are someone, the sun is someone, and the moon is someone. They are all subservient and in respect to Nabi Yusuf. That's the inner dimension, the inner interpretation of this ayat. But if you see this ayat on face value even, it is, he will have control and as a prophet over nature. And so when Nabi Yaqub heard about, so this is the definition of dreams, that the purer the soul, the purer the picture will be. If the soul is preoccupied with worldly things during the day, as a result, if the soul utmost preoccupation, it's going to convert the immaterial knowledge in a very messed up way. That's why the dreams we have are very messed up. Why? Because the soul is drowned in the dunya during the day. The lesser the soul is drowned in dunya during the day and acts and thinks more and more Allah fully during the day, the content of those semi-immaterial pictures that we witness in our dreams, it'll be more graphic, vivid, and with meaning and less messed up. This hunting of divine knowledge in Islamic terminology is called dreaming. Hunting of divine knowledge. If you want, you can write this down, and then if you want, I can send you the link of the course. When we dream, it has a meaning. However, you have to unveil the meaning from the dreams, which we cannot, because everything has a meaning behind it, which we cannot. But They are dream interpreters, and yes, you can ask the scholars. So, ayat number 5. قَالَ يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تَقْصُصْ رُؤْيَكَ. Do not narrate your dream, relate your vision to anybody, to your brothers, because Nabi Yaqub knew that the jealousy, the plot that they will plot against Nabi Yusuf, because he knew that they had jealousy. What is the meaning of jealousy? Jealousy means attaining to a rank, having people being subservient to you. And so they knew that they had a jealousy, and the jealousy was was of this type that they felt that Nabi Yaqub was liked by Nabi Yusuf, was liked Nabi Yusuf was liked by Nabi Yaqub more so than the 11 other brothers. Remember, they were all together 12, and out of them, Nabi Yaqub and Binyamin, which were two real brothers of Nabi Yaqub's sons, they were from one mother and the others were from the other mother. So they were half brothers. And so Nabi Yaqub knew that they held this resentment and grudge and jealousy of Nabi Yusuf, which was a wrong resentment, and we read about it. So what is the difference between jealousy and sorry? What is the difference between jealousy and evil eye? Can I request someone to just read till I just clear up my throat till ayat number 18, please? Thank you.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. He said, "O my son, do not relate your vision to your brothers, or they will contrive against your plan. Indeed, Satan to man is a manifest enemy. And thus will your Lord choose you and teach you the interpretation of narratives, that is, events or dreams, and complete his favor upon you and upon the family of Jacob, as he completed it upon your fathers before, Abraham and Isaac. Indeed, your Lord is knowing and wise." Certainly were there in Joseph and his brothers signs for those who ask, such as when they said, "Joseph and his brother are more beloved to our father than we, while we are a clan. Indeed, our father is in clear error. Kill Joseph."
I just request you to just stop you for 1 minute. Thank you, Tanya, for jumping in and helping me. And so, my son, do not relate your vision to your brothers. What is the difference between jealousy and evil eye? So jealousy means when you see someone which possesses something that you don't, and you are jealous, and then out of jealousy might plot. And that's what Nabi Yaqub was fearful of Nabi Yusuf, that if this vision is let out, there will be a form of jealousy which will be in a way which will make them plot against Nabi Yusuf. Evil eye is what we think that, evil eye is not that jealousy is not attacking you in a black magical way. It's not like someone is jealous and then they will attack you in a black magic way, or that if they see their eyes have some sort of powers or energies which cast spells. And I'm just reading out of the notes of the course that we have done. And it makes sense that jealousy is something which one holds in, and then it has an effect which is plotting. Evil eye is something else. Evil eye is what we think that someone has powers in their eyes, and then when they're seeing, they're able to cast a spell through the eyes, and their eyes are wicked, and they have this wicked energy, and this energy has an effect on someone, and it goes and affects that person, and now everything is, your business is at a loss, and your house is at a loss, your children are at a loss, and we just blame it on evil eye, and we say, oh, this kid is like this because ko nazar lag gayi and all of that. It's a very simplistic and a very simple-minded and a way of doing life and thinking life, which I am also was part of, where it was just, okay, nazar lag gayi, and we just pass the buck on. What truly is evil eye? It's when you're doing things but not expressing gratitude to Allah. And so there's a cause and effect. And the other thing is when you are when you are doing things in the sense of whatever Allah has blessed you with gifts, you're not very sensitive and wise about it, but you post and you might boast about it, and you might post about it. And so we're not sensitive about the situations around us. If suppose like there's difficulty people are going through because of the pandemic, and people are unable to travel or what XYZ, and we just post and post pictures, not being sensitive and wise that jealousy arises and it's normal and it can, and then there can be a plot, and that plot can lead to harming us. So evil eye, we say that it's like this spell or this black magic, which is wrong. Evil eye equals to what? When we are not expressing our gratitude to Allah for the things that Allah has blessed us with, and we attribute it to ourselves, and we get arrogant, and that has a cause and effect for that thing, to that blessing to be removed from you. Remember, we did it recently, that one of the alterations of blessings is inability of gratitude to Allah and saying that this is all Allah's. And the other reason is of difficulties and burdens is when we post and boast, and when we are not sensitive to this extent that, I know in Pakistan, when I used to live there, fruits are very expensive, especially in the month of Ramadan. We were buying fruits over fruits, and our help, which is around us, or people around us, cannot afford it. And then we're just taking all this fruit, and that's being insensitive, where, to that extent that in the scholars, Dr. Farah gave a thing that, put it in a black bag, or being not sensitive to the situation around us. So what do? Well, we can give him, can buy others, or whatever it is, but being sensitive to the situation around us, insensitive and not wise, will cause jealousy, and you can be part of that causation of jealousy, which can then lead to plotting against you by other people, which can have an effect which looks like challenge and burdens. So this can be evil eye, but not what we think. And so if you don't thank Allah so scholars have extracted from this verse that if you don't thank Allah for these blessings, it will cause a spiritual detriment to your soul. And that's the evil eye. It's not that it comes to you from outside, it happens within you because you didn't do something that you should have done. General precautions to safeguard from jealousy is what? Expressing gratitude to Allah for your blessings every day. General prescription to guard oneself. Nabi Yaqub knew of the jealousy. This jealousy is going to have its repercussions. He couldn't go and tell them because with the circumstances here, what he has to do, minimize the tension between the brothers by telling Nabi Yusuf not to share the vision with the brothers and treat them all equally, which he always did. Nabi Yaqub always treated them always equally, because remember, he's a prophet. With jealousy, it's logical that person who is jealous will lead and plan and plot those who they are jealous of, and this is a cause and effect. All right, so from ayat number, if we go forward, then jealousy will lead to satanic temptations, and that's what Nabi Yaqub is saying here. Ash-shaytan al-insana aduwwun mubin. This jealousy, if it's not sorted, it will lead for shaitan to then further tempt you to then plot. And that's what happened with the brothers of Nabi Yusuf. This jealousy was not sorted, and it over time led for them to plot against Nabi Yusuf. And thus will your Lord choose you and teach you the interpretations of narratives. This is an interpretation of narratives that Nabi Yaqub is doing of Nabi Yusuf's dream. And so events and dreams, and complete his favor upon you and upon the families of Yaqub, and his completed upon you, fathers, before Ibrahim and Isaac. Now, so inna rabbaka alim hakim. Laqad kana fi Yusuf wa ikhwata ayat lis-salihin. From ayat number 8 to ayat number 18, we will now see the jealousy of the brothers. Yes, who would like to? Okay, let me just read because I have some notes to share with you. Istala la Yusuf wa akhuhu ahabbu ilay abina. This was the root reason. They felt that Nabi Yaqub liked and loved Nabi Yusuf more, not more, but only. Habbu here is like a extra exaggerated, like more. And Dr. Farooq has gone into the details of habbu doesn't mean more, but it means only here. Like he loves only Nabi Yusuf. And that was a wrong application. They came to a wrong conclusion that our father loves Nabi Yusuf more than us. And how did they come to this wrong conclusion? Because of the jealousy. because they were jealous. Yes, it is natural that Nabi Yusuf might be more closer in affinity with Nabi Yaqub might be more closer in affinity with Nabi Yusuf. Why? Because Nabi Yusuf was born a prophet. Prophets are born prophets. And so they manifest purity. And manifesting purity looks like pure attributes that they manifest, and it's a natural attraction for a prophet to have an attraction to Allah's manifestation, Allah's attributes which are manifesting through Nabi Yusuf, to be attracted. But in no way he dealt with them unequally, because he's a prophet and a prophet of a very high infallible status. So there's no way that we can make this judgment that Nabi Yaqub was unequal. It was a wrong application on their part, that he loves them more. And now there's a very important point here for us. They held jealousy, number one, and that wasn't sorted out through Tawheed. And number two, they had a grudge and a resentment against their father. Here, for all the mothers who are online today, if you have a feeling that your children hold a grudge or a resentment against one of the parents, help in a way, do amal bil maruf, and I'll just share how to do amal bil maruf with your children, because this inner contamination and pollution of holding a grudge and a resentment against the parents, even though the parents might be wrong, in this case they were not, but even though the parents might be wrong, this is spiritually very contaminating and polluting to the soul. Generally, to hold grudge and hate and resentment against God's creatures is very contaminating to the soul, but more so for your parent, even though the parent is weak and imperfect or whatever the case is. And this holding on to grudge and resentment due to jealousy caused all of this, which is a very deep and a subtle point, and a lot can be said on this. But just so I know for myself, this is something which is very important to try to identify if there is, and then try to bring a change in it by bringing the good. In Al-Hasanati Yuzibna Sayyad, the good, when you focus on the good of a person, and everybody essentially does have some good in them, it removes the evil. Allah will remove the evil. So we should work hard to remove resentment, grudges, jealousy for all creatures. Above all, if we hold any jealousy, if we hold any grudge, resentment for our parents, that is something which will contaminate our soul. And they said, while we are, وَنَحْنُ asba here means like we're strong. Look at us in strength. It said that they were older brothers. They were looking after the family, situations. It's not situations, the family, all the, I'm losing words here. Anyways, so they were looking after the family in different ways and forms. And look at the last part of the ayat, very, very important. And then they made a wrong conclusion. Oh, our father is in a wrong, clear. He doesn't know. He's in an open misguidance. He's misguided. Holding on to hate, resentment, grudges will then lead to having wrong judgments and they had a wrong judgment for their father, who they knew he's a prophet, because they were believers, and you will see it, they were believers. And Nabi Yaqub was an open prophet at that time, who was being revealed Allah's knowledge. So they knew that our father is a prophet, number one, and they knew that prophets are of a very high spiritual status, but yet to hold this grudge and hate and resentment led them to interpret that, oh, he's in an open error, like he loves Nabi Yusuf more. When does this happen? When there's a lack of Tawheed, not being able to understand even the concept of prophethood and infallibility per se. And if that is something that we deal with, that I'm unable to understand infallibility, Nabuwa, Imama, Tawheed, it's the most important thing that we should spend our time in learning about Nabuwat, Imamat, Qayamat, Adal, Akhirah. That's our belief. Our beliefs makes our intent. So kill Yusuf, and then they led to this understanding that kill Yusuf and kill Yusuf. And where should they have found their true identity? Not in their strength. They should have found their true identity not in their usba, being strengthful and strong, but found their true identity being God's creature. However, ayat number 9, kill Yusuf or cast him out to another land. This was a temptation tempted to them because they had this strong love. Look at the ayat ahead. Underneath it says, Lakum wajhu abika, because they wanted their wajh here means what is my face? My face shows my attentiveness. So it's the attentiveness of their father, the love for their father that they had, which is a good thing. To want your love for your father is a great thing, but they erred in the application. Their love made them error. Their intense love for wanting the love of their father and the attentiveness of their father led them to having this jealousy and this resentment and grudge. So they actually wanted something good, but the applications that they used were wrong. Why? Because they held this jealousy that Yusuf is better than me, and Yusuf is better than us, and Yusuf is more liked, is not more, but is liked by our father. He only likes him, and all of that. And so it's all a lack of tawheed here. So they wanted honor from them, and they wanted, but remember, in the end, they were given, their fate was good. And they were given salvations, and 2 prophets forgave them in the end of the chapter. So said a speaker amongst them, ayat number 10, the brothers said to them, what? And so, وَتَكُونَ مِنْ بَعْدِ قَوْمِ صَالِحِينَ, very important here. And so let's do this. Qawm Salihin, we will become the righteous. They did 2 wrongs. They not only intended to do a sin by killing Ukhtulu Yusuf, by wanting to kill, that's huge. And not only that, but they mocked God's system of repentance. What does it mean? وَتَكُونُ مِنْ بَعْدِ. So, let's do this, and then we will be the righteous people. Yani mocking God's system of repentance also has its cause and effect. And so, if they would have truly killed Nabi Yusuf, they would have never ever got the opportunity to even repent, because the soul gets so spiritually darkened that the opportunity to then repent is even lost. So there are 2 things here. The intent to do wrong is one sin, and then to mock God's system of repentance is another thing. We should never take this, I tell myself, we should never take Allah's Ghafuriyya and Rahimiyya for granted. It is a beautiful system of Allah that He repents, He forgives, He forgoes, He forlooks. However, never to take it granted and say, oh, I'll do this and then I'll do that. You may never might get the tawfiq of even going back and repenting. And said a speaker among them, do not give Yusuf, but throw him into the bottom. And so they say that there were different levels of consciousness of brothers here. And so one of the brothers suggested this. Here, there is a slight note here of tafsir here, that when should you deem it probable to do amal bil maruf, encourage the good. Remember, although he was part of them, and he was encouraging another wrong only, it was not that he was encouraging them, leave him and don't do this. It was one sin to another sin. However, a lesser sin. But here, the narration, the tafsir, in tafsir, it says, when you deem it probable, at least even 50% and more, that your advice will be effective and will be received, when you deem it probable, then you should encourage the good and do amal bil maruf, inviting people to the good and discouraging the bad. But if you know below 50% and so that your advice will be of no effect and it's not deemed probable, then just inviting people to the good, encouraging people to the good is nothing but a play of ego, where you're just inviting them and saying, I tell you, do this, you should do this. And then you burn that other person's motor even, and they no longer want to, your words are not effective, and it just goes into an ego play. So may Allah give us the wisdom to encourage, invite people to the good out of godliness. And when we know that it's deemed probable that they will take advice. And they said, oh, Father, why do you not trust us with Yusuf alayhi salam, while indeed we are him, we are sincere counselors, ayat number 12, and send him with us tomorrow, and then he will eat and play. And indeed, we will be his guardians. So when the brothers said this, Nabi Yaqub knew their inner disposition. He knew their jealousy. He knew what were they plotting. But look, what was his answer? So he could not say, no, I will not, because, whatever reasons, but I will not let him go with you. Because if he did, then he would precipitate, he would encourage them to, he would cause more tension to the situation, and the brothers would have become more stronger in their resentment and hate and grudge for their father. So he could not say no. If he would have said yes, then if situations would have happened what they happened, they would have blamed him. Well, you only said, you only allowed. So what do? You can't say yes, you can't say no. So Nabi Yaqub kept silent, and look at his answer, ayat number 13. Yaqub said, indeed, it saddens me. It saddens me that you should take him away. So he did not negate. It's a very, you can really, really pontificate on these ayats. And sometimes we get stuck in situations even we can't say yes, we can't say no. So then bring it back to your truth and ask yourself and honor yourself instead of stopping that other person to do what you don't want them to do, or encouraging them to do what you don't want them to do. What can you do? Just bring it on yourself and speak your own truth. And what is your truth? I am fearful, I am scared. And you ask yourself these two questions: how do you feel and what do you want? And then just say that from I, rather than correcting, criticizing, controlling, and all of that. Very difficult to stay in the I and to speak from your truth. But Nabi Yaqub did that. He says, it saddens me. It saddens me that you should take him. Why does it sadden him that you should take him? That it's showing the brothers, is also showing here that the brothers were affectionate. And that's why Nabi Yaqub was sharing his sadness and his fear, his emotions, because it shows that they were affectionate kind. And I fear that the wolf would eat him. Now, there's no story of the wolf before this ayat, but Nabi Yaqub is sharing, is instilling or introducing the wolf story to them. They never said that. They just said, let us go and take them. But he gave this idea that the wolf might eat him up. Although Nabi Yaqub knew his plot. But why did he give this wolf story? Because there's a very, very subtle point here, which I learned in Tafsir was really cool. And that was this, that he did not want them, that when they would do what they were intending to do, to come back and say, we got rid of him and we killed him. Because just saying that lie of killing a prophet has its effects. And Nabi Yaqub didn't want that for the son. So he introduced this wolf story to them and said, oh, I'm scared that the wolf might eat him. So that they might use this reason that the wolf devoured him, rather than saying, oh, we killed him openly and outrageously, because that has its effects. To kill and to say that we killed a prophet. And so it's like often we say to our children, even when we know, we ask them, have you prayed? And we don't want them to lie, because lying is one thing, and then lying on salah is another thing. That yes, we prayed and lying for salah. So what we can do is we can even use this tactic of Nabi Yaqub by saying, I know you prayed, may Allah accept your prayers, and leave it there, or make, I'm sure you're tired and I'm sure you pray on time, I'm sure you pray, but not opening the opportunities for them to further lie. So much can be said. There's people who attended the detailed classes. If you're interested in the detailed tafsir, I have some links from the Google Drive that we've been doing of Surah Yusuf, and you can go there and hear that. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does the same in the Quran as well, that he gives us excuses so that we can go towards him. Ya ayyuhan insan, innak ma gharraka bi rabbikal kareem. What deludes you from the Rabb who's so honorable? And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also giving us, like, he knows that we will sin. So he's already giving us this little bit of excuse that, Allah is so kareem. He's so kareem that you'll be drowned in his gifts. And if ayat number 14, and if the wolf would eat him while we are a strong clan, so they said, how we are a strong clan and a wolf will not eat him? So when they took him out and agreed to put him into the well, if you look at the translation here, look at this. It says that it's incomplete sentence. What happened? How did they put him? They don't say it. The Mufassirin don't say how, what, when, kaise hua. They just simply say this, that they put him in the well. Sorry. How did this happen? There's nothing. And so the Mufassirin say it's a half-broken sentence here. Why? Because Allah is saving the haya of the Prophet, that how it happened, how difficultly they must have put him in, or there must be a tussle, or whatever it might happen. Allah is covering it. And here the Mufassirin, the scholars in the tafsir that we were hearing, say that sometimes it's only respectful that not to give the details of how Imam Hussein was even killed, just so that people can cry. Because sometimes it's important to keep the haya of that situation. Of course, we have to give the details in the sense that we have to stand up for oppression and we have to know what happened. However, here in the tafsir, look at the ayat, it's like it's incomplete part of the ayat. وَأَجْمَعُوا أَن يَجْعَلُوا فِي غَيَابَةِ الْجُبِّ. Bas. Now it stops here, and then what happens? It's incomplete, and then it goes, wow, hayna, and Allah revealed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is covering the details and goes back to something was revealed to Nabi Yaqub. And here is a principle for us too. when we go through difficult challenge and burdens in our lives, and when we detach, not rationally, but the soul just detaches from everything and everyone and attaches to Allah and Allah alone, no one can help other than Allah, then Allah lets them taste. And we taste this, then Allah starts revealing upon them. And that's what happened to Nabi Yusuf. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ you will surely inform them someday about their affairs of theirs, means whose affairs? The brothers' affairs, that they will know the truth. And when they know the truth, they saw the reality of their actions and repented and ended up being with a good faith. And then when they saw the reality of their actions, you will inform them of the reality of their actions. But right now is not the time to inform them. Nabi Yaqub also knew, but they have wisdom. So you will inform them of the reality of their actions. And wahum la yasharun, right now they are not aware. That means there are cause and effect to our actions. And sometimes we will not know the reality of our effects for maybe 20 years. They will reveal the effects of their actions 20 years later, when they saw Nabi Yusuf again as a ruler, now as a king of Egypt at that time, and then they were given the reality of their actions. So Nabi Yusuf was revealed with this revelation, and there isn't, and so wajau abahum isha and yabakun. And so when Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam came, Nabi Yaqub's brothers, children, Nabi Yusuf's brothers came back. And there's an important point here in a tafsir which says coming back after repenting is important, and that's why Allah has put it here. They could have left, they could have run away, they could have gone away, but they came back to their spiritual father, their prophet. They came back to the biological father. So we, even when we do something, when there's a lot of benefit here to go back to Allah, to go back to our prophet, to go back to our imam of our time and ask him for tawassul to him to help us purify ourselves. And so this coming back was of good spiritual value, and they came back to their Abba, means they came back to their father, their spiritual father, the prophet, who is our spiritual father, our prophet and Imam Ali and the infallibles, Isha. And they came back in the night, and hence that's why they say repentance done in the night is the best time to repent after Isha prayer, Maghribain prayers, all the way up to Fajr. وَيَبْكُونَ. But now these tears, the Mufassirin say, were like wolf tears, where they're just crying. They can be a good sorrow and a bad sorrow, and a good tears and a bad tears. Not bad tears, but false tears. So qalu ya abana, and what did they say? Our father, indeed we went racing each other and left. So they made an excuse and left Yusuf alayhi salam with our possessions, and a wolf ate him up. So good, alhamdulillah, they had goodness that they didn't openly outrightly say, oh, we killed them. Because if you outrightly say you killed them, then there is an effect and cause and effect to this too. So they said this. And so look at how Yaqub alayhi salam answered them back. And so they said, we killed them. The wolf ate him up. Wa antum. And Nabi Yaqub would not say, I believe you. Even though he knew that they were lying, he chose another route of way. How to answer the brothers that the wolf ate him. And so sometimes it's important not to say out our sins and cover. Allah is the one who sattar, who conceals our sins. And we should also, learn to conceal other people's sins and also our sins, and not to openly say, oh yeah, I do this and I do that, because it's the breaking of the veils of chastity, which is here, that we are sacred and important. Anyways, so let's go forward. Ayat number 18. And they brought upon them a false shirt, false blood. وَجَاءُوا عَلَىٰ قَمِيصِهِ بِدَمٍ. So when they came with a shirt which had false blood, imagine they were plotting for 2 years, in Tafsir it says, to do what they wanted to do with Nabi Yusuf. And so when they were plotting for 2 years, and the traditions say that they put false blood on the shirt of Nabi Yusuf's shirt, that they brought it to Nabi Yaqub, and the shirt had sheep's blood on it instead of wolf's blood. They're saying that the wolf devoured him, but they had sheep's blood, and they forgot to tear the shirt. And so here, first let's do Nabi Yaqub and how his answer was. He said, "Sawwalat lakum," and so their souls adorned. Rather, your souls have enticed you or adorned to you something, adorned to you something. And so then the response, the famous response of Nabi Yaqub that we all refer to and we all tell each other when we're going through difficult times in our life, and we say sabrun jameel, may Allah bestow you with sabrun jameel, and wallahu musta'an ala ma tasifun. But what does it mean? And what does it mean that Nabi Yaqub gives? So I'll pause here for a little bit and quickly explain. So the sawwala, the musawwala soul that Nabi Yaqub is telling the brothers, that there's a dimension in your soul which adorns the bad deeds. So the soul actually, our soul has an attraction towards what gives us benefit. And so they were attracted to their father, and they had this intense love for their father, which is a good thing to have love for your father. However, this love for their father intensified in a way that they had this jealousy against Nabi Yusuf. And the brothers loved to receive attention of their father. The cause of their love was this jealousy. Because they had jealousy of Nabi Yusuf, and this love for their father became more and more intense. One is just to have love for your father and want his attentiveness. One is like now you have this intense love for your father. Why? Because you're jealous of your brother, and because you think that he only loves him more, him only. And so this love, this desire intensified. When this love intensifies, when we love something more than other than Allah, and we've read it previously in the juz, ashaddu hubban lillah, that you are allowed to have shadid love for Allah and only Allah alone. But if you start loving Allah's gifts and Allah's manifestations more so than Allah, then what happens is that this intense desire and love for other than Allah, which is nothing but Allah's manifestations and creatures and gifts, what happens is that shaitan then tempts you to then want to get what you truly want by whatever means you can do, by plotting, by whatever means you can do. And shaitan penetrates the soul through this legitimate and intense desire. And so sometimes when we don't get that love from our parents, and then we look for it in the love in our spouses, or we look for it loves in our possessions, or whatever the case is. Shaitan, this intense love, then where we finding our identity, we've done it in Surah Tawbah in the previous juzes, that Allah states those 9 things. Remember in Surah Tawbah, ahabbu ilallah wa rasuluh, do you love Allah and the Holy Messenger, and love for purifying yourself more than loving these 9 things? If you do, then it's a wrong. And so shaitan, then what it does is that it makes it fair seeming to you, that then it's everything is what is that idiom? Everything is fair in love and war, then, right? So then everything becomes fair seeming, because now that intense love for other than Allah is more so in the soul, and it adorns the soul. It's called the musawwala soul in this ayat, and it adorns the ugly act. Why? Because shaitan penetrates the soul through the legitimate and intense desire, and stronger the faculty of the soul works, the more the soul repeats the bad deed to itself. And I'm going to do this so I can get this, and I'm going to do this so I can get that, and all of that. And it's the plotting and the desire to want it, adorning it as a good, until one eventually becomes spiritually deaf. So this ayat is actually giving us a reason how one leads to its spiritual deafness, when one's love and desire intensifies to that extent that it becomes into a passionate and more so intense desire, loving Allah, more loving other than Allah more than what we should. Always see the source behind that love rather than that love. And so they became spiritually deaf and so Nabi Yaqub was saying your adorning soul enticed you to something, and he just left it there. And then what did he say? Those famous words, Fasabrun Jameel. Let me just pull out my notes quickly. And so he said, Fasabrun Jameel. And that, what does this sabr mean? And here I just want to pause and say this one thing. How could they have forgotten? 2 years in planning, and they forgot to tear the shirt. 2 years in planning. And so here there's a tradition of the Holy Messenger which says this, that when Allah wills something, He facilitates its causes. Or when Allah wills something, He eliminates the servant's intellects. यानी उसे भुला देता है. And there's a cause and effect why Allah makes you forget certain things. And so it was destiny for them to do what they did. And so it's a cause and effect. And so sometimes when things don't go our way, even though we've tried our best, that's the time when we submit and surrender and we say Allah is in control always, and Allah will make something happen, in destiny for someone or something. Yeah, so this is something I bolded and I've written it down, that when Allah wills something, He facilitates the cause, and when Allah wills something, He eliminates the servant's intellect. Like suppose, you can go to the best of doctors and you've taken your MRI and everything, and the doctor forgets to make that judgment. The MRI is clear in front of him and he just gets shocked. His intellect gets veiled and he is not able to see that one thing. And then so we'll blame the doctor and we'll blame this and we blame that, or we can say there are many reasons that he forgot. There could be a lot of reasons that he was unable to see, and we say it's destiny, and now let me see how I can deal with this situation through Tawheed. And so Fasabrun Jamil. So what does the Holy Prophet say? That Allah has said that when a servant of mine faces a burden in relationship to his body, his wealth, or his offspring, he remains sabr, and he remains steadfast, then through a beautiful patience, I shall free him from the accounting in the hereafter. When we go through some difficult challenges in our life, which, shakes our existence, some challenges are come which really shake your existence, like Nabi Yaqub. He knows that the culprits are his sons. He can see it, and he knows that they've done this to the son. But it's like like a very difficult situation here. Or when you're seeing, a near-death situation, or you see your near ones die, your children, when parents have to witness that, or it's very difficult situations, like your existence is shaken. Remind yourself of this hadith of the Holy Messenger, that when a person goes through this and he is patient, beautiful patience, I shall free him from the accounting of the hereafter. What does it mean, free him from the accounting of the hereafter? Means that unka hisab dunya mein hi ho jata hai. What does that mean, dunya mein hi ho jata hai? That they go through such difficult things and they learn to, be patient, and tawakkul is so much that they purify themselves, in the sense that in the hereafter they will not have to account for their souls. They have done their accountability of their souls in this world only. So beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. And this is how the mukhlisin have been described in the Holy Quran, will go directly into heaven without undergoing any accountability of their souls. Why? Because the burden of accounting had already been undergone in this world through patience, and they underwent it in this world, and therefore no accounting in the hereafter. Yaqub sees that it's in his own sons that have committed the crime, and so he opts for patience. Now, what does this beautiful patience mean here? It means when you're seeing Allah in control. And because this word sabr here, look at this word jameel. Jameel is Allah's attribute. And Allah's attribute, jameel, means what? Something which is, Allah is Jamal, the one who is all beautiful. And so sabr is also Allah's attribute. And so he's attributing this sabr to the most beautiful. And he says, the Jamal will give me the sabr, as in the Jamali sabr, I will incorporate within me, and I will manifest Allah's beautiful patience. Why? Because I know He's in control. And so when it's Allah's the future, and is but because Allah is the planning it all, and Allah is in control, and He's the planner, and He knows best, because He's all wise, all just, all merciful, all forgiving, all of these things, then patience is most beautiful. Why is patience most beautiful? Do you know why patience is most beautiful? Because now it's not yours. Because Allah is in the planning, and the destiny belongs to Allah. And so patience becomes an attribute of Allah, and it's a beautiful patience. Then it's sabr and jameel, when you see Allah is in control, and when you see that Allah is in the planning, and when your heart is witnessing that. So when it's Allah's future, this patience is of a divine nature. That's why he says jameel, it's of a divine nature. And that's why Sayyida Zainab even said, Ma ra'aytu illa jameel, I'm only seeing Allah's attributes of jamal in action here. And so patience becomes beautiful. Yeah, because it's Allah's attribute. And that's why He doesn't attributed to himself, and you will find me patient and I will be patient. There's no I here. Fasabrun Jameel, Wallahu Musta'an. The patience is attributed to the Jamal, the Jameel. Allah is Jameel. He says patience is Jameel. It's his attribute because he's in control, and it's a beautiful patience because who more can be in control than him who is all wise, all just, all merciful. And Wallahu Musta'an. And Allah is the one who I seek. Allah is the one who is sought help for. And Yaqub is not attributing patience to himself. There is no ego in the Mukhlasin. And when he says Allah is the Musta'an, the one who sought for help, there is no mention of, oh Allah, I ask you to help me. He didn't say I am patient. There is no me. All attributes, he attributes it to Allah. And so here it's a really beautiful patience. And so there was a separation between Nabi Yaqub and Nabi Yusuf. And this was as Yusuf was a manifestation of Allah. And so Nabi Yaqub is one of the Mukhlisin, and his patience was Allah's patience, and Allah is the planner, the executor, therefore most beautiful. And this patience has to be acquired only through Tawheed. And so for us, when we have situations in our life, how can we be patient? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, because that is Allah's patience, and then Allah is Jameel. So the degree you are stronger in your Tawheed, the degree you will be patient, and your patience will be Jameel. It will be a beautiful patience. Why? Because you're seeing Allah's in control and Allah's plan take place, and Allah knows best. And so there are different types of patience here. Sometimes we're patient before sins, divine actions and Sharia has enjoyed or recommended. And sometimes you're patient in front of difficult situations. So when we attribute this patience, we don't say, I am going to be patient. We say patience is Allah's attribute. It's a very beautiful attribute. And I'm going to be patient because I know whatever isn't going to transpire is not out of Allah's will and control and power and jurisdiction. Yes, so from ayat number 19 to ayat number, and then we say Wallahu Mustaan, and it's only Allah's help that we even go through this beautiful patience. From ayat number 19 to 22, it's the talk about someone picked Nabi Yusuf from the well, and ayat number 21, and there came a company of travelers and they sent their water jar, and he let them down his bucket, and he said, good news, here is a boy, and they concealed him, taking him as a merchandise, and Allah was knowing of what they did, and they sold it, and they sold him for a reduced price and few dirhams, and they were concerning him of those content with little. And ayat number 21, so much to share here, but I'm going to just quickly come down to ayat number 21. Now he was bought, and then when he was bought, they say that they were infertile. The king of Egypt and his wife Zalika, they were infertile, and so they waited. And when they waited, they then adopted Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. And so there's a lot of the Mufassir speak about infertility here, and they say that sometimes when you're not to haste but to wait, and maybe Allah has a better plan for you to maybe take care of his wali. They actually were the ones who looked after wali. And also Nabi Musa, the pharaoh of Nabi Musa was also infertile, and also as Asya. And so they waited, and when they waited, Allah blessed them to look after one of his wali, Nabi Musa. So very interesting here, a little point which is made in Tafsir. But make his residence comfortable, perhaps he will benefit us, or we will adopt him. As so much to say here, but I'm going to quickly fast forward. And thus we established Yusuf alayhi salam in the land, that he might teach him, and then we will teach him interpretations of events. And now this is the punchline of the entire surah. This entire surah is pivoted on this last part of this ayat. Wallahu ghalibu ala amrihi. And Allah is in ghalib. Allah is in control of his affairs, Nabi Yusuf's affairs. When is Allah in control of Yusuf's affairs? When we devote ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like how Nabi Yusuf was devoted, Allah takes in control. Then Allah says, I become their hand and I become their legs and I plan and all of that. So walakin aksara nasi la ya'lamun, but most people do not know. And so each time when you go through a difficult time in life where you're unable to do anything or act wise, we remind yourself of this ayat. Wallahu ghalibu ala amri. Ya Allah, you're always in control of my actions. You're always in control. Your jurisdiction controls everything. So when I'm not able to do anything, walakin aksara nas la ya'lamun, sometimes I forget that you're in control and I go into fear mode. So Allah remind me of this. Can be a zikr even to recite constantly in the middle of the night or in composure of the heart to recite it constantly. Allah is in control. And so Wallahu Ghalib, everything is in his control. And so they say the entire surah is pivoted around this ayat. The entire surah, that when you let Allah lead you, when Allah is in control, and when you let Allah's will, be in front, and let your will be under Allah's will, what will happen will be the best. Yeah, and I love this. I can't say more about it. There's so many notes to share. I will share, remind me to share the notes of this particular part on the chat, because it's something which has truly changed my life. Whenever I go through situations where I feel helpless, just remind, Wallahu Ghalib, Allah is in control. Walakin aksara nas la ya'lamun. So Allah, you're in control. What I could do, can do. Can you change the situation? Change it. If you can't, Allah, you're in control. And so from ayat number 23 to ayat number 29, would anybody like to read? Yes, Mariam, please go ahead. Mariam, go ahead.
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And she, in whose house he was, sought to seduce him. She closed the doors and said, "Come you." He said, "I seek the refuge of Allah. Indeed, he is my master who has made good my residence. Indeed, wrongdoers will not succeed." And she certainly determined to seduce him, and he would have inclined to her had he not seen the proof, that is, sign of his Lord. And thus it was that we should avert him from evil and immorality. Indeed, he was of our chosen servants. And they both raced to the door, and she tore his shirt from the back, and they found her husband at the door. She said, "What is the recompense of one who intended evil for your wife, but that he be imprisoned, or a painful punishment?" Yusuf said, "It was she who sought to seduce me," and a witness from her family testified, "If his shirt is torn from the front, then she has told the truth, and he is of the liars. But if his shirt is torn from the back, then she has lied, and he is of the truthful." So when he, that is her husband, saw his shirt torn from the back, he said, "Indeed, it is of your, that is women's plan. Indeed, your plan is great, that is vehement." Joseph ignored
so
this.
just 1 minute. So from ayat number 23 to 29, we see Zalika's attempts to solicit it, to entice Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. And so here I just wanted to make a little on ayat number 24, and she certainly determined to seduce him, and he would have inclined to her. So people make wrong accusations against the Nabi Yusuf was a prophet, and prophets don't have egos, and they are very infallible. One of the minimum level of infallibility is egoless, and then beyond. So saying that Nabi Yusuf was intending to or wanted to, and all of that is really, really putting down the prophet. And I just want to read you my notes here quickly. That, and one such station that has attained, know that Nabi Yusuf saw his, sorry, just quickly scrolling down. Yes. So Zuleika had this love for Nabi Yusuf. She was seeing, we're all after perfection. And so just like the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam were seeing perfection in their father, and they wanted his love, which is normal, but we all after perfection. And wherever we see attributes of perfection, means beauty, knowledge, strength, we want it, we are after it, we want it. And so Zalika saw attributes of perfection in Nabi Yusuf, but not seeing Nabi Yusuf only as a manifester of the all absolute, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but seeing him in and of itself and loving him for who he is was a wrong application, where she became drowned in his love. And so she wanted to seduce him, and she wanted to have him for herself, where here Nabi Yusuf in this ayat is saying, وَحَمَّ بِهَا. Here doesn't mean that Nabi Yusuf also had these wrong inclinations towards Zalika, and he would have if Allah, no. It means here more so that after undergoing, it means here that the clear proof of Burhan of the Lord is tantamount to having, sorry, I wanted to just read you, yes. So note that Nabi Yusuf saw his Lord's Burhan, means there was Ainul Yakina, where his heart was witnessing Allah. He wasn't witnessing Zalika, or he was seeing, his lens was seeing everything through Burhan, means it's an attribute of Allah, the one who the Lord's Burhan during a period of intense burden and tribulation. This shows that we have this potential to see Allah's apparency even at a time of burdens, and his apparency is not confined to, so to see this for the lovers of Allah, it does not make a difference whether they are at war or playing with orphans or eating food. They are always in Allah's presence. So he was in Allah's presence when she was inducing him. So once such station has been attained and all vice is eliminated, and such people will not even consider or deliberate or contemplate performing sins. So, in this ayat, usually sometimes tafsir is like, he would have contemplated. No, he's above all of that. He's in Allah's presence. And so Allah has killed his ego. And so some of the interpretations, yes. So some scholars have said that we also have burhan when we refrain from eating poison, etc. But it is not as simple as that. That is merely a rational exercise, nothing to do with seeing Allah. It's like so here it's a little marginal point for us here, that when the station of a mukhlasin entails them seeing themselves in the presence of their Lord, committing sin or giving into vice is impossible. It's not like he would have, but it's impossible action-wise accordingly to rationality. When one is drowned in the true love of Allah, any other manifested love is secondary. So he would have not even intended, because he's just drowned in Allah's love. Allah's love is immense. It's like impressed on his heart. This is all rational for us, because I don't know about you, but for me, so something for us to do. There is an internal, a batini interpretation, which I'm holding back and I don't want to share because it might take time. We're already an hour past. So let's go forward. G. So from ayat number 30 to ayat number 35, Nabi Yusuf's beauty is now shared and shown to the women. Mariam, would you like to continue?
Ji, we'll finish with 29. We didn't read it.
Ji, go ahead.
Yusuf ignored this, and my wife asked forgiveness for your sin. Indeed, you were of the sinful. And women in the city said, the wife of Al-Aziz is seeking to seduce her slave boy. He has impassioned her with love. Indeed, we see her to be in clear error. So when she heard of their scheming, she sent for them and prepared for them a banquet and gave each one of them a knife and said to Yusuf, come out before them. And when they saw him, they greatly admired him and cut their hands and said, perfect is Allah. This is not a man. This is none but a noble angel. She said, that is the one about whom you blamed me. And I certainly sought to seduce him, but he firmly refused. And he will not do what I order him. He will surely be imprisoned and will be of those debased. He said, my lord, prison is more to my liking than to which they invite me. And if you do not avert me from their plan, I might incline toward them and thus be of the ignorant. So his lord responded to him and averted him from their plan. Indeed, he is the hearing, the knowing. Then it appeared to them after they had seen the signs that he, that is Al-Aziz, should surely imprison him for a time. And they entered the prison with him, 2 young men. One of them said, indeed, I have seen myself in a dream pressing grapes for wine. The other said, indeed, I have seen myself carrying upon my head some bread, from which the birds were eating. Inform us of its interpretation. Indeed, we see you to be of those who do good. He said, you will not receive food that is provided to you, except that I will inform you of its interpretation before it comes to you. That is from what my Lord has taught me. Indeed, I have left the religion of a people who do not believe in Allah, and they in the hereafter are disbelievers. And I have followed the religion of my fathers, Ibrahim, Isaac, and Yaqub, and it was not for us to associate anything with Allah. That is from the favor of Allah upon us and upon the people, but most of the people are not grateful. O my 2 companions of prison, are separate lords better or Allah, the one, the prevailing? You worship not besides him except mere names you have named them, and you and your fathers, for which Allah has sent down no evidence. Legislation is not but for Allah. He has commanded that you worship not except him. That is the correct religion, but most of the people do not know. O 2 companions of prison, as for one of you, he will give drink to his master of wine. But as for the other, he will be crucified, and the birds will eat from his head. The matter has been decreed about which you both inquire.
Thank you. And so here, there's a whole conversation between Hazrat Yusuf, Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, and the inmates of his in prison. Here, remember the ayat number 39. Look how Nabi Yusuf is calling them towards Allah, not towards him, but towards Allah. Oh, my two companions of prison are separate lords, better or Allah. So, Amallah Wahid al Kahar. Always this Allah's word Wahid, the one pure existence, will come with Kahar, the conqueror. And so here it's Allah, he's inviting him to pure tawheed, that ma ta'budu min dunihi illa asma. And so who worship not besides him except names you. So it shows his Nabi Yusuf's level of tawheed and his infallibility. Ayat number 42 to 49, it's about the king's dream. And he said to the one who he knew would go free, mention me before your master, but Satan made him forget the mention his master, and he remained in prison. Now here even people usually question, well, why would Nabi Yusuf tell the thing that if he's only relying on Allah, then why would he say to the people, oh, mention me, don't forget me, please tell my name? Is he relying on the king and the prisoner? No, they are not doing anything from their ego. They are doing everything from Allah's instruction. When he's even saying, mention me in thing, it is by Allah's advice, it is by Allah's will and permission that he even says what he is saying to the prison, to his prison inmate who was released. And number 43, and subsequently the king said, indeed, I have seen in a dream 7 fat cows, and so there'll be 7 years of famine and 7 years of drought, goodness, and 7 green spikes of grain, and other than they will be dried. Oh, eminent one, explain. And then let's fast forward, ayat number 44. And they said, it is but a mixture of false dreams, and we are not learned in the interpretations of these dreams, but the one who freed us and they remembered. I will inform you of interpretation, so set me forth. And so ayat number 46, he said, Yusuf, O man of truth, explain to us, Yusuf, ayyuha Siddiq, about 7 fat cows eating by 7, that they were lean, and 7 green spikes. Now this guy, the king, was no infallible. But when you detach from the physical realm, you see divine knowledge, and could be for anybody, Muslim, non-Muslim, and that I may return to the people, perhaps they will be good. No, and Nabi Yusuf here gave his interpretation. You will plant for 7 years consecutively, and what you are harvest, leave in its spikes and accept a little from which you will eat. Ayat number 48, then will come after that 7 difficult years, which will consume what you advance, and from them I accept a little from what will you store. Summa yati min ba'di zalika amen. Then will come after that a year in which the people will be given rain, and in which they will press olives and grapes. And so from ayat number 50 to ayat number 52, Zulekha here attests to her innocence. And the king said, bring him to me. And when the messenger came to him, and Nabi Yusuf said, return to your master and ask him, what is the case of the woman who cut their hands? And indeed, my lord is knowing of their plans, said, what was your condition when you sought to seduce? Now here even they say in this ayat that if Nabi Yusuf was not asked, he would have never, he would be all, remember, he is a manifestation of Allah's attributes, and Allah is Satarul Uyub, the coverer of people's sins and concealer of the ones covering of people's faults. So Nabi Yusuf would have concealed. And so they said, perfect is Allah, we know about him no evil. And the wife of Al-Aziz said, now the truth has become evident. It was I who sought to seduce him, and indeed he is of the truthful. And ذَلَكَ لِيَعْلَمَ أَنِّي لَمْ أَخُنْ بِالْغَيْبِ وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَهْدِي كَيْدَ الْخَائِنِينَ. And that is he, so he will know that I do not betray him in his absence, and that Allah does not guide the plan of the betrayers. From now we start juz number 13, ayat number 53 to ayat number 57 speaks about Nabi Yusuf's ministry and his kings, and he becoming the favorite of the kings. And I do not acquit myself. Indeed, the soul is a persistent enjoiner of evil. وَمَا أُبْرِئُ نَفْسَ إِلَّا النَّفْسَ إِلَّا أَمَارَةَ السُّوءِ. Before the nafs commanding to the soul's evil, before the amaratas su nafs, there's a nafs before that. There is an understanding which is called, that we studied ahead when Nabi Yaqub was telling his sons, the musawwala soul, the sawwala soul, where the adorning of bad becomes second nature. When you start justifying the bad, and then that becomes solidified, and then the soul then starts commanding you to do wrong, and there's a spiritual deafness. So what happens where the adorning soul starts adorning your bad? It's when, to be able, the whole root is in the jealousy and the love. They were jealous. So till we don't get rid of the ethical vices within us, once these ethical vices become second nature, it causes spiritual deafness and dumbness and blindness. So and the king said, bring him to me. I will appoint him exclusively for myself. And when he spoke to him, he said, indeed, you are today established. And this is his part of his dream coming true. And appoint me over the storehouses of the land. And indeed, I will be a knowing, Hafizun Halim. And thus we established Nabi Yusuf. Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, we established وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَّنَّا Yusuf. And Nabi Yusuf nowhere will say I. There's always Allah who has brought this to us. And therein, wherever he wills, we touch with our mercy whom we will. And we do not allow to be the loss. وَلَا نُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Again, Allah will not waste the recompense of a muhsin. And the reward of the hereafter is better. وَلِأَجْرَ الْآخِرَةِ خَيْرًا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ وَجَاءَ إِخْوَةُ يُوسُفَ قَدْ خَلَوْا. And the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam came seeking food. Now there was a drought where they were outside Egypt. And so they came to Nabi Yusuf's kingdom and they entered upon him and recognized them, but he did not recognize. Nabi Yusuf recognized the brothers, but the brothers did not recognize Nabi Yusuf. And when he had furnished, and so they say that our Imam Ajalullah Faraja, Imam Mahdi Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman, is also ruling like Nabi Yusuf, where he is in charge of the land and of Allah's Amr, command comes upon his heart, and he is in charge of the nature and of us too. And he is guiding. That's why he's called Yusuf al-Zahra. It's just that we are unable to witness and see, like the brothers, we are unable to see Nabi Yusuf. What will happen for the brothers that they will be able to witness is a key for us, which needs to happen for us, where then our veils in humanity can be removed, or we can have our spiritual unveiling of the Imam in a dream, or, is a mukashafat, which people do, but no one shares it, where a spiritual ajal is important, reappearance, rather than a physical reappearance, and we are still veiled and our souls are still drowned in the worldly acquisitions. Yes, can I get someone to have me read from 58 to 76, please? Also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready.
58 to 76.
Bismillah. And the brothers of Joseph came seeking food, and they entered upon him, and he recognized them, but he was to them unknown. And when he had furnished them with their supplies, he said, bring me a brother of yours from your father. Do you not see that I give full measure and that I am the best of accommodators? But if you do not bring him to me, no measure will be there hereafter for you from me, nor will you approach me. They said, we will attempt to dissuade his father from keeping him, and indeed we will do it. And Joseph said to his servants, put their merchandise into their saddlebags so they might recognize it when they have gone back to their people, and perhaps they will again return. So when they returned to their father, they said, O our father, further measure has been denied to us, so send with us our brother that we will be given measure, and indeed we will be his guardians. He said, should I entrust you with him except under coercion, as I entrusted you with his brother before? But Allah is the best guardian, and he is the most merciful of the merciful.
Just 1 minute, please. If you pause at ayah number 64 and underline this, Fallahu khairul hafizin. Imagine the test of Nabi Yaqub. He's already seen the same guys do what they did with Nabi Yusuf. And now he knows the truth, but now he's seeing Binyamin even now being taken away from with them, and ask them to let us take him away. There's a kind king who will give what he wants to give and all of that. But look at the tawakkul and tawheed. That Fallahu khairul hafizin, Allah wa huwa arhamar rahimin. These attributes of Allah, if understood and penetrated to the heart, that Allah is Hafiz, He is the grantor of existence, Rahman, and He is Rahim, Ar-Rahman Rahimin, and He is the one who guides everybody towards their salvation. They say it was the forbearance and the hilm and the compassion of Nabi Yaqub, which led these brothers to then get salvation and to have a good fate. If Nabi Yaqub had attacked them and done and done not treated them with compassion and forbearance, their fate might have been different. So a lot for us to think about here, that Fallahu khairul hafizin, knowing sometimes we have to sometimes we ourselves come in our own way, our egos, and sometimes we don't let the other person go through their own journey in life. And sometimes we see the outcome, but we want to quickly come and attack. It's human nature to invite, but sometimes there comes a point where we have to let go and let God, and know وَهُوَ أَرْحَمَ الرَّاحِمِينَ, and know that Allah is in control of everyone's destiny. He is the grantor of existence, and He will take everyone to their places, their destinies in the right way. And remember, it all depends on a good opinion of Allah. The degree you have a stronger good opinion of Allah, the degree, the good fate you will see. The bad opinion of Allah, and that's what transpires. So his opinion was Allah is Hafiz, Allah is in control, Allah is merciful, grantor of existence. He's the one who takes from small to big. He's the one who takes from Zara to Kamal tak leke jaane wala wahi hai. So why am I, and he was dealing with them with complete delicacy and sensitivity and helm and compassionate. Yes, go ahead, please.
And when they opened their baggage, they found their merchandise returned to them. They said, "O our father, what more could we desire? This is our merchandise returned to us, and we will obtain supplies, that is food, for our family, and protect our brother, and obtain an increase of a camel's load. That is an easy measurement." Jacob said, "Never will I send him with you until you give me a promise, that is an oath, by Allah, that you will bring him back to me, unless you should be surrounded, that is overcome by enemies." And when they had given their promise, he said, "Allah, over what we say, is entrusted." And he said, "O my sons, do not enter from one gate, but enter from different gates, and I cannot avail you against the decree of Allah at all. The decision is only for Allah. Upon him I have relied, and upon him that those who would rely indeed rely." And when they entered from where their father had ordered them, it did not avail them against Allah at all, except it was a need, that is concern, within the soul of Jacob, which he satisfied. And indeed, he was a possessor of knowledge because of what he had taught him, because of what we had taught him. But most of the people do not know. And when they entered upon Joseph, he took his brother to himself. He said, "Indeed, I am your brother, so do not despair over what they used to do to me." So when he had furnished them with their supplies, he put the gold measuring bowl into the bag of his brother. Then an announcer called out, "O caravan, indeed you are thieves." They said while approaching them, "What is it you are missing?" They said, "We are missing the measure of the king, and for he who produces it is the reward of a camel's load, and I am responsible for it." They said, "By Allah, you have certainly known that we did not come to cause corruption in the land, and we have not been thieves." They, the accusers, said, "Then what would be its recompense if you should be liars?" The brother said, "Its recompense is that he in whose bag it is found, he himself will be its recompense. Thus do we recompense the wrongdoers." So he began the search with their bags before the bag of his brother. Then he extracted it from the bag of his brother. Thus did we plan for Joseph. He could not have taken his brother within the religion, that is the law of the king, except that Allah willed. We raise in degrees from whom we will, but over every possessor of knowledge is one more knowing. They said, "If he steals, a brother of his has stolen before." But Joseph kept it within himself and did not reveal it to them. He said, "You are worse in position, and Allah is most knowing of what you describe." They said, "O Aziz, indeed he has a father who is an old man, so take one of us in place of him. Indeed, we see you as a doer of good." He said, "I seek the refuge of Allah to prevent that we take except him with whom we found our possession. Indeed, we would then be unjust." So when they had despaired of him, they secluded themselves in private consultation. The eldest of them said, "Do you not know that your father has taken upon you an oath by Allah, and that before you failed in your duty to Joseph? So I will never leave this land until my father permits me or Allah decides for me, and he is the best of judges." Return to your father and say, O our father, indeed your son has stolen, and we did not testify except to what we knew, and we were not witnesses of the unseen. And ask the city in which we were and the caravan in which we came, and indeed we are truthful. Jacob said, Rather, your souls have enticed you to something, so patience is most fitting. Perhaps Allah will bring them to me all together. Indeed, it is He who is the knowing, the wise. And he turned away from them. And he turned away from them and said, Oh, my sorrow over Joseph, and his eyes became white from grief, for he was that of a suppressor. They said, By Allah, you will not cease remembering Joseph until you become fatally ill or become of those who perish. He said, I only complain of my suffering and my grief to Allah, and I know from Allah that which you do not know. O my sons, go and find out about Joseph and his brother, and despair not of relief from Allah. Indeed, no one despairs of relief from Allah except the disbelieving people. So when they entered upon him, that is Joseph, they said, O Aziz, adversity has touched us and our family, and we have come with goods poor in quality, but give us full measure and be charitable to us. Indeed, Allah rewards the charitable. He said, Do you know what you did with Joseph and his brother when you were ignorant? They said, Are you indeed Joseph? He said, I am Joseph, and this is my brother. Allah has certainly favored us. Indeed, he who fears Allah and is patient, then indeed Allah does not allow to be lost the reward of those who do good. They said, By Allah, certainly has Allah preferred you over us, and indeed we have been sinners.
Okay, so yes, thank you. So from ayah number 83 to ayah number 91, the brothers informed Nabi Yaqub and Nabi Yusuf. Again, Nabi Yaqub's way of speaking to them was again a very patient and a beautiful, godly patience. But here, one thing about his grief was not on Nabi Yusuf only, but remember Nabi Yusuf was no one but manifesting Allah's attributes. And so when a beloved of Allah is separated from one who is also manifestation of Allah's attributes, that was his grief, that he was missing Nabi Yusuf, not Nabi Yusuf because he was his son and from the son's aspect. And so ayat number 86, I will only complain of my suffering here means that for us even that complaining to Allah for our suffering is a good thing, but then complaining to people for the suffering that we go through can be difficult for the soul, and it can depress the spirituality of the soul. And my grief to Allah, and I know from Allah that which you do not know. And so here Nabi Yusuf, another thing, ayat number 90, if you look, they said, are you indeed Yusuf? And so he said, I am Yusuf. So here the ulama, the scholars pay attention to this, urafa pay attention to this double hamza, inka, which is innaka, ayat number 90. Qalu innaka, are you indeed Yusuf? He said, I am Yusuf. So there's two times that they're saying that they recognize Nabi Yusuf not because of that he was Yusuf or that he was a prophet of Allah, but he recognized Yusuf because of his attributes, because previously they're saying he's muhsinin. And so it shows that once the inner prophet, with going through all these trials and tribulations that they were going through constantly, they were purifying their souls. And as their soul became purified and was getting purified, the inner prophet was able to align with the outer prophet, and they were able to recognize him for who he is, not because he was a prophet and because, from just a rational understanding, because they saw from the inner, they identified the kareemness of the Prophet Yusuf and the muhsinin of the Prophet Yusuf. And so here is a protocol for us as people. How will we identify with the Prophet, with our Imam of our time, is when our inner is purified. And so in this Ramadan, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that as we go through his book, that we purify our intents and we strive to purifying ourselves, eliminating the spiritual vices within us through Tawheed, by first following the footsteps of the Holy Messenger and then purifying through Tawheed. And so from ayat number 92 to 101, Nabi Yusuf's dream comes true. He said, no blame will be there upon you today. May Allah forgive you, and he is the most Arhamar Rahimin, forgiving the brothers. So this is their fate, that they were forgiven. And take this, my shirt, and cast it over the face of my father. He will become seeing. This seeing was more of that seeing of the seeing and the witnessing of his of Nabi Yusuf, and bring me your family all together. And when the caravan departed from Egypt, their father said, indeed, I find the smell of Yusuf. If you did not think me weakened in mind, they said, by Allah, indeed you are in your old and you're erring. And when the bearer of good tidings, so the brothers who were there, they were like, and arrived, he cast it over his face, and he returned once again, seeing. He said, did I not tell you that I know from Allah that which you do not know? And they said, oh, our father, we ask forgiveness of our sins. Indeed, inna kunna khatiin, that we are the ones mistake, we have made a mistake. And he said, I will ask forgiveness for you from my Lord. Indeed, he is innahu huwa ghafurur rahim. Allah is the one who covers the sins. He's the one who's Rahim. He guides people towards their salvation. And so there was no inner ego either from Nabi Yusuf or from Nabi Yaqub. It was all about, you are Allah's creatures, you come, we receive you with open hands. What was meant for me happened for me, and Allah changes humiliation into honor. That's Allah's doing. And so I'm going to just conclude this. There are a few things that I need to conclude the ayat with, surah with. And when they entered upon Yusuf, he took his parents to himself and said, enter Egypt, Allah willingly saved. And he raised his parents upon the throne, and they bowed to him in prostration. And he said, oh, my father, this is the explanation of my vision of before. And my Lord has made it reality. And so when he saw the sun and the moon and the stars, the sun and the moon in Batini interpretation means the father and the parents, and the stars were the brothers. However, it doesn't mean that the dream was a little messed up. In reality, even Nabi Yusuf had control over nature itself. My Lord has made it reality, and he was certainly good to me when he took me out of the prison. Imagine every situation, every humility, every down that Nabi Yusuf had to go through, attributing it to Allah. Then no, seeing everything from a good opinion of Allah. Then may Allah also, Allahumma inni as'aluka husni zan bika ala kulli hal. Allah give us a good opinion of you at all times. And he took me out of prison and brought me here from Bedouin life after Shaitan had induced between me and my brothers. Shaitan had put this jealousy, this increased this in me, in us. Indeed, my Lord is subtle, Latif. Allah's attribute, Al-Latif, is the one who's subtle. The ones, Ash-Shakur is the one who gives, the appreciator of good. And Allah's attribute, Al-Latif, is when we cling on to this attribute and we say the one who bestows, the one who gives immaterial gifts. The giver of immaterial metaphysical gifts is Latif. The one who gives metaphysical gifts is called Al-Latif. So Al-Latif here means the one who, Latif is the one, as Yusuf is saying, that he gave me interpretations of dreams. He changed my different situations into, and it was his will. Lima yasha innahu huwal hakimul alimul hakim. He's all wise and he's all knowledgeable, and hence his gifts, his subtle gifts, are Latif. So if anybody wants to also open up their hearts not only to the gifts that we see physically, so recite this name Al-Latif, preferably after Fajr Namaz, in Sajda. I'm forgetting the Ajdad value of this name. I think I don't want to make a mistake here, but I'll put it on the chat. Reciting this name will open the heart to appreciating Allah's immaterial gifts that we have. Immaterial gifts can look like guidance, can look like wisdom, and so many immaterial gifts that we all have, and Allah opens up the way. And so there's another protocol here for the name Al-Latif, that if someone is hoping to get married, to recite, to do ghusl or wudu and recite 2 rakat in Salat Hajat, simple, and then in Sajda recite this name Ya Latif. I will share that protocol with on the chat as well. Ya Latif, for opening up this gifts. And so, my Lord, you have given. Why did Nabi Yusuf refer Allah to? Why did Nabi Yusuf address Al-Latif? and not say Allah is Kareem. But why Latif? Because this was a gift. This is an immaterial gift given to Nabi Yusuf, the interpretations of dreams and hikmat and knowledge of Allah, which reveals to him. These are immaterial gifts given to from Al-Latif to Nabi Yusuf. My Lord, you have given me something of sovereignty. See, this Latif, and taught me the interpretations of dreams, the creator of heavens and earth. I love this dua. Fatir as-samawati wal arz, anta wali fid dunya wal akhirah, tawafani muslima wal hikni bis salihin. It's a beautiful dua. Ya Fatir as-samawati wal arz, anta wali. You are, in real sense, Allah is only our wali in this dunya and in the hereafter. Tawafani, so we submit to you as submitters of monotheists. Well, hikni bisalihin, and connect us and bring us to join us with the ones who are salihin, righteous. And so ayat numbers 102 to 111 give us a beautiful conclusion, a reminder for those who think. Remember, these people had come to the Holy Messenger asking about Nabi Yusuf. And so it's a conclusion that this is from the news of the unseen, which we reveal. وَمَا كُنْتَ لَدَيْهِمْ إِذَا أَجْمَعُوا, and you were not with them, but when they put together their plan, while they conspired. And most of the people, although you strive, are not believers, and you do not ask of them from it and payment, and it is not except a reminder to the worlds. And how many are signed within the heavens and earth do they pass over while they therefore are turning away? May Allah guide us that we see Allah's attributes in all gifts and not turn away. This i'rad, this turning away from not seeing Allah fully is something that we take refuge in. And most of them believe not in Allah except whilst they associate this shirk, concealed shirk, either open shirk or concealed shirk, where we see the gifts and we attribute it either to ourselves or to others, and they feel secure that they will not come to them an overwhelming aspect of punishment of Allah, or that the horror will not come upon them suddenly while they do not perceive. Say, this is my way. I invite to Allah with insight. And so Nabi, the Holy Messenger, is being said, and those who follow me and exalted is Allah, and I am not of those who associate others with him. And we sent not before as messengers, except men to whom we revealed from among the people of cities. So have they not traveled through the earth and observed how was the end of those before them? And so traveling on the earth can mean two ways. Travel on the earth with the intent to see how rulers who are so strong and what was the end. And traveling on the earth can also mean, which I will share in Surah Kahf, can also mean traveling on the earth of your heart and seeing which part of your heart is where you need to eliminate the spiritual vices and bring in the virtues. And so travel on earth, observed how was the end those before them, and home of the hereafter is best for those who fear Allah. Then will you not reason? Hatta iza, they continued until when the messenger despaired and were certain that they had been denied, there came to them our victory, and whoever we willed was saved. And our punishment cannot be repelled from people who are criminals. لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي قَصَصِهِمْ عِبْرَةٌ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. And indeed there is ulul albab, the ones who people who are deep rooted in lub wa lubab, means deep rooted in knowledge, in wisdom, in deep knowledge, deep insight. So there is ibra, there is lessons for people who have deep insight. What do you mean deep insight? The ones who want to not only read Surah Yusuf as a story, but ones who want to learn this surah and understand it for their own spiritual growth. Mazani aaye surah jate go through it, because there's so many stories, and I just gave you a taster with the first few ayats and how deep it can go. But inshallah, I'm looking forward. We're still on the 38th ayat of the surah in the deeper tafsir. Never was it a narration invented, but a confirmation of what was before it, and a detailed explanation of all things, guidance and mercy. And indeed, Surah Yusuf is really a guidance and a mercy for the ones who are looking for. So we are an hour and 40 minutes. With your permission, can I start Surah Ra'd? Yeah, should I go ahead and start with the reading? Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Yes. Can I request, Zamina, would you like to read Surah? Surah Rad is another Makkan surah. And in this surah, you will see the signs of Allah manifesting itself, Allah's attributes manifesting in creation, and then how we are made aware of the destination of mankind. Yes, Surah Rad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alif Lam Mim Ra. These are the verses of the book, and what has been revealed to you from your Lord is the truth. But most of the people do not believe. It is Allah who erected the heavens without pillars that you can see. Then He established Himself above the throne and made subject the sun and the moon, each running its course for a specified term. He arranges each matter. He details the signs that you may, after meeting with your Lord, be certain. And it is He who spread the earth and placed, and it is He who spread the earth and placed therein firmly set mountains and rivers. And from all of the fruits He made therein two mates. He causes the night to cover the day. Indeed, in that are signs for a people who give thought. And within the land are neighboring plots and gardens of grapevines and crops and palm trees growing, several from a root or otherwise, watered with one water. But we make some of them exceed others in quality of fruit. Indeed, in that are signs for a people who reason. And if you are astonished, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then astonishing is their saying, when we are dust, will we indeed be brought into a new creation? Those are the ones who have disbelieved in their Lord, and those will have shackles upon their necks, and those are the companions of the fire. They will abide therein eternally. They impatiently urge you to bring about evil before good, while there has already occurred before them similar punishments to what they demand. And indeed, your Lord is the possessor of forgiveness for the people despite their wrongdoing. And indeed, your Lord is severe in penalty. And those who disbelieved say, why has a sign not been sent down to him from his Lord? You are only a warner, and for every people is a guide. Allah knows what every female carries and what the wombs lose prematurely or exceed, and everything with Him is by due measure. He is knower of the unseen and the witnessed, the grand, the exalted. It is the same to Him concerning you whether one conceals his speech or publicizes it, and whether one is hidden by night or conspicuous among others by day. From Him, that is each one, are successive angels before and behind Him who protect Him by the decree of Allah. Indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. And when Allah intends for a people ill, there is no repelling it, and there is not for them besides Him any patron.
Thank you so much. And so from ayat number 8 to 11, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing description of God's knowledge, that Allah's knowledge is above everything. So when Allah says His knowledge, it doesn't mean that He's a silent observer and He's seeing everything and His knowledge is on everything, but it means that His knowledge and His action is one. So as He has knowledge about everything, He also has control on everything, and nothing is outside His jurisdiction. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing a very important point. One of my favorite ayahs that I have tied this to myself as part of the relationship work that everybody knows that one I do, and that is Inna Allah yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim, and that Allah will not change a situation of a qawm, of a nation. Nations are made out of people, people are made out of families, nations are made out of families are made out of people, and so Allah will not change the situation of a person or people, nations, hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim, until they change what is within themselves. So till everybody doesn't change or take responsibility, take accountability of themselves, this change will not occur in a nation. And that is Allah's wisdom, his law, his eternal principle. And so it's very, very endearing when one can take responsibility of themselves. As we take responsibility of ourselves, take self-accountability of ourselves, remove the, strive to removing the hurt, the hate, the resentment, the grudges, the jealousy, and the spiritual vices from us, it has an effect. And the effect that has Allah will do this effect. This is where we forget. We either blame others and expect others to change so that we can change, or we say, look, I've changed, but nothing is happening. Why nothing is happening? Because we forget that now, since I've changed, you should also change. This changing of situation is by Allah's will. Amrillah, inna Allah. Allah changes the situation. When one takes responsibility of themselves through Tawheed and starts seeing things from a Tawheedi perspective, Allah changes his perspective. Allah can change his view of seeing things. Allah changes the situation. In many ways, in many different ways, Allah will change the situation, but Allah changes the situation. To expect, again, a weak, imperfect being to then change, of course, that's on their destiny, but if they don't, then it is difficult to then move forward and do things accordingly. And then you again setting ourselves for disappointment. So much to say on this ayat. Please remind me. I would like to send you notes on this ayat also. It's a really important ayat and will not change. And when Allah intends for a people ill, what does it mean? وَإِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ سُوءًا. Does Allah want evil for the people? No, it's a system of cause and effect. When people want misguidance, Allah will give them misguidance. And so it's a system of cause and effect, and Allah intends for people ill. There is no repelling it. And so when challenge and burdens have to come, or the consequences of their actions have to transpire, then there is no فَلَا مَرَدَّ لَهُ وَمَا لَهُ مِن دُونِهِ مِن وَالٍ. And there is not for them besides him any patron. هُوَ الَّذِي يُرِيكُمْ بِالْبَرْقِ. And so from ayat number 12 onwards, 12 to 13, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining how everything is praising Allah. What does it mean, everything? Every creature of Allah is manifesting Allah's name in capacity, in a certain capacity. Even this pencil, anything that exists is manifesting his attributes of whatever it can manifest in its capacity as a pencil will manifest. It's manifesting Allah's, what is it manifesting? It's manifesting me, the ability to help. So it's manifesting the nasiri of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and all its attributes, not one, but all attributes it manifests, but in varying degrees. So creation also is manifesting Allah's attributes, and they have ilm, they have knowledge, and according to their capacity in their knowledge, they are in the tasbih of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tasbih means going towards perfection. And so they are towards their own perfection, doing what they have been assigned by. And the thunder exalts, and it is he who shows you lightning, fear, and aspiration, and generates the heavy clouds. And the thunder exalts with praise of him, and the angels from fear of him, and he sends thunderbolts and strikes their wind from him, and he wills while they dispute about Allah, and he is severe in assault. And so ayat number 14 to ayat number 15, Allah's calls made to others than Allah are futile imagery. To him Allah belongs. Allah alone is supplication of the truth, and those they call upon besides him do not respond to them with a thing, except as one who stretches his hand towards water to reach his mouth, but it will not reach, and supplications of the disbelievers is not but in error. Why? Because they're they're making an error in supplication. They are asking Allah and Allah alone, but the application is wrong. And so if it's done from a place of lack of tawheed, Allah, if you detach from everything other than Allah, Allah will give you. Either you call him Allah or you call him another name. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying this, and now it goes. And to Allah prostrates, and this is not a wajib sajda in this surah, walillahi yasjudu. This is a mustahab sajda. There are two sajdas which are wajib, Surah Najm and Surah Sajda. The star and the Surah Sajda. When the two stars fall, we do Sajda. So there's this is Umi Auntie's way of reminding us where the Sajda is. Surah Iqra, I think, where there Surah A'la, there is wajib sajda, and so here it's not a wajib sajda in Surah Ra'd, but it is a mustahab sajda. So once we're done with our class, which we are done now, and so I wanted to break something to the thing that since we are a little behind in our juz, would it be okay if we can read the juz at home, and I just give a summary so we can catch up in the next class? I will speak about the ayats in like section wise, and the ayats that I need to bring to your attention, and then inshallah once we catch up we can again start reading. Is that okay, or do you still would want to read every ayat in English translations, and then we can complete as we complete till Eid? You can write it in your chats if you like. Yes, that is a great plan. Okay, all right. Okay, fine. Inshallah, we will do that. Walillahi yasjudu ma fi samawati. Please praise to read every ayat. Okay, so let me think about it. How much it would be nice to read every ayat and then elaborate, or let me see how things can transpire. So we end here. By reading these verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where we are asked to prostrate ourselves. This is not a wajib sajda, and so Allah prostrates whoever is within the heavens and the earth willingly or by compulsion. We are all in the state of submission to Allah. There we have a free will, but a free will, it has great potential. However, there are certain things which are predestined, which we have no free will, and so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, willingly, unwillingly, you are in a state of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you, and there's shadows as well in the mornings and the afternoons, even if you see our shadows. So if we understand, then our will gets submitted to Allah's will knowingly and willingly is our aim. So let's pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as we end this class for today. Fatir as-samawati wal arz, anta waliyu dunya fil akhirah. Oh, the cleaver of samawat wal arz, the maker of samawat wal arz, the one who is the creator of the samawat wal arz. Anta wali fi dunya wal akhirah. May you be our guardian. You are our guardian, but may we with full awareness know that you're constantly in control and you're constantly guiding us. وَتَوَفَّنِي مُسْلِمًا وَالْحِقْنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ, and then submit us as Muslims, Ya Allah, and make us one amongst the Salihin. Oh Allah, please accept this Khalil ibadat in your obedience. Ya Allah, may we learn from your beautiful words. May our hearts move and be inspired. And may this good remove the spiritual vices that which are with us. Ya Qudus, Ya Salam. Ya Allah, whoever have asked me to pray for them, Allah, please accept their prayers. Remove the difficulties of your creatures and guide people who are misguided. Ya Allah, accept this Khalil's ibadat, and above all, Allah, I pray for the benefit of the souls of the marhumin of all of us, and the marhumin of the Holy Messenger's nation with Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. Jazakallah, ladies, for your time. May Allah bless you for your patience, for your endeavor, for your efforts, for your yearning, for His knowledge, for His book. And may He remove in al hasanati yuzibna sayyat. May He remove the evil that He has promised us when we hold on to the good. So may we be able to follow in His words, and may His words inspire our hearts. And inshallah, all this dua for you and for your loved ones. Inshallah, we meet again tomorrow.